every time I pull up at the let out of suspect.
Welcome to the Let Out. We got another great show for you guys today. I want to start off by introducing my co-host Sylvia, my co-host Chris, and my co-host Alicia, and me, Will, aka Bob. All right. So first and foremost, if you're not a subscriber and you like the show, please subscribe on YouTube. Don't just watch the episodes on IG. Like, comment, and subscribe. And if you aren't on IG, you can follow us on IG at _the_let_out_. And turn on your notifications on YouTube so that you can catch all of the good content that we have to offer for you. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's show. Can't talk. So the topics we want to talk about today is can you be pro-black or pro any race and date outside of your race? Is that possible?
Pro-black is what we're referring to, boo.
We're referring to it, but we might have some Caucasians, some Chinese listeners, that might be pro their race and they outside. So it's like, can they do that as well? So, but of course, we're gonna stick to our race because that's what we know. And then we want to talk about financial literacy in not just the Black community, but just financial literacy. Period. All right.
In the Black community.
We will. Of course, we're gonna stick in the Black community.
She really taking that pro-black thing serious.
We know this. But and then we'll get to it as a surprise topic if we can. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So I'll start with Chris since we welcome him back today. Can you be pro-black and date outside of your race?
Yes, definitely. I think you can be pro-black and everything. Matter of fact, I don't even feel like you got to be black to be pro-black. And the reason I'm gonna say that is because people really do support. We got hella people outside of the Black race that really put on for us. With that being said, sticking to the topic at hand, yeah, I feel like you can be you can date outside of your race and be pro-black because I think it's more or less about how you carry your day to day. Are you really about self-love? Are you really about that? Who you love isn't necessarily talking about, it's not all of your values encompassed in one, just about who you date. As far as being pro-black, I'm always down for, of course, supporting Black business. Of course, Black culture is one of the things that you really can't escape, especially if you are Black and you really enjoy some of the things that you go through. For me, specific, shit in the Black culture, I love it. Y'all know me, y'all mess with me all the time for somewhat having the hood mentality, but it's just that part of the culture that I like. It's the music, the things that we do. As a matter of fact, we could be some funny ass people from time to time. So I find comedy in the shit. But other than that, long story short, is yes.
I got you. Okay, Sylvia.
I definitely think that you could be pro-black and date outside your race. I don't think just because you date outside your race, you lose who you are or where you come from, or that you deem it any less important because you date somebody else out your race. They like to say when it comes to the LGBT community, love is love. Love wins. So if we're Black, if we date outside our race, why love can't win? You know what I mean?
I got a question for you while you're in the middle of that, because it brought up something in my head when you said that. So what was his name? Malik Yoba. So Malik Yoba said that he wasn't really a transgender lover or something like that, but he was stepping forward as opposed to coming out of the closet or something like that. But he was stepping forward, but I think he got hit for that, saying because he was stepping forward to be pro LGBTQ, right. But we slapped him across the face like, no, you can't do that. You must be one of them. So to Chris's point,
so
how is it possible if we condemn it?
A community?
I remember that. It was like a year or two ago, wasn't it?
It's about a year ago. Yeah, it's about a year ago. It was like 20.
We as a community.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of people, like, especially like, you know how the comments pretty much is
right.
The generalized population.
When you come across people that's like that, that just goes about their thought process. Like just because you see in the comments a bunch of people in what 500 to 1,000 or whatever comments say that he can't do that unless he must be one of them does not speak for the community as a whole. That's just their thought process. So if they feel that way and they're entitled, that's on them. I don't feel like just because he stepped forward and said that, I'm stepping forward for them because I understand what they're going through and they're human, they shouldn't be treated that way. That I feel like he's one of them. Like,
Don't quote me, but I think he did say that he was at one point. He didn't say that he was traditionally attracted to transgender women, but he found himself attracted at one point or another to a woman that was
and
transgender.
that probably gave him the backlash with
Yeah,
that.
and I think that was the case. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a while, so don't quote me on that. But I think
What will what?
No, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. No, it just that's what came to my mind when you said that, because I'm like, okay, that brings about a good point, is when you try to do something like that, what happens? And I think that's kind of what poses our question. But I'll go ahead and let you finish.
But I think that you could 100% be for your race.
Right.
Just because you choose to date or marry someone outside your marriage doesn't mean that you care less about your race or your culture or where you come from. It's just
I definitely think you should date outside of your marriage.
I do
outside
too.
your marriage.
I do too.
Yes,
That's what you said. That's what you said. I was gonna let it ride.
I mean,
I was gonna let it
race.
ride.
Oh my God.
I was gonna let it ride.
I mean, race, not marriage.
Don't let him do it to you.
I was gonna let it ride. I know what you mean.
Not marriage outside of your race. Doesn't mean that you care anything less about your race or the struggle or the culture or where you come from, or you're gonna fight anything less. That's just who you love. That's who, I ain't gonna say even that's your preference. That's just who you love, who you fall in love with, who you building your life with, and that's that.
Okay. All right, Alicia.
I'm a little divided on the subject, of course.
You should be.
Fuck off. Say that because who you surround yourself with, who you choose to be in a relationship with, is an extension of you, what you think, what you believe, what you support, who you love, so forth. So if you are someone who, let's say you never, for whatever reason, choose to be with a woman of your race, and you're always with someone who is of a different nationality that is light, bright white next to it, it can feel like a contradiction when you say that you're pro-Black and Black Lives Matter, but there is no Black woman or man, vice versa, that you feel is up to standards to, or that you find attractive enough to date. Like you're not, no, there's no Black woman that's good enough to be with me, but I'm also pro-Black and I love my people. It can be a contradiction for people to go ahead and to see that extension of you and what you believe, what you feel, and then to hear, I love Black people, Black Lives Matter, just not in your personal life. So for some, it can feel like a contradiction. So I'm not saying that you should not date outside of your race and you can't still be pro-Black. No, I think that you definitely can. I'm married to a man that's not Black, although I've had Black suitors, boyfriends, ex-husband in the past. But if I was only solely with Asian men, ever, that's all I choose to date. I don't want to date anybody in my own race. I just want to date Asian men. And that's all I post on my Instagram page is Asian men. And that's all you see me with, me and my Asian children. And then when something comes out and I'm like, oh, power to the people, it's going to seem like and feel like a contradiction to people because I don't even feel like a Black man is good enough to be on my arm. So I'm divided on the subject, and the reason that the whole subject even came up is because there was a post with Nick Cannon, and they were showing, of course, he has his babies with Mariah, he has babies with another young lady. I'm not sure what her nationality is, but I know that he's dated Black women in the past. But unfortunately, that post with him and his baby shower with his baby mama rub some people the wrong way. Now, I know his dating history, and I know, just from being a fan of Nick, that's not him. How they're trying to play him out to be is definitely not him. But I have seen others, however, that definitely want nothing to do with a black woman as far as a suitor,
Mhm.
but they are very pro-black. So I am divided. I'm divided on that particular topic, though.
Okay, so I have a question then. So let's say you know who you are both ways. Knowing who you are means knowing who you are as a whole. So holistically, you know that I'm the type of person where I'm so strong, I'm so strong-headed, I'm so pro-black that it's not anything against my black women. I just know what type of woman that I need in my life in order for me to operate to the best of my ability and maximize who I am. And the reason I say that is, and then this is no stereotype, but I'm just going with I'm going with the stereotype. It sounds like it, but it's just to make a point. So basically, let's say an over dominant man or alpha who has a lot going on and really doesn't need or desire a woman that's going to be uh, demanding and less likely to submit, right? So he dates a certain woman. So let's say he dates a Chinese woman because he finds that all of the Chinese women that he's dated allow him to do the things that he needs to do to be the best man that he can be without some of the things that come with dating the other races. So that's just knowing who you are, what you need to make sure that you're good. Doesn't mean that you can't go out and say that doesn't mean that you can't go out and just be for your people and understand the struggle, because again, at the end of the day, you still understand the struggle because that's who you are, right? So how is that not, I mean, I get your divide, but I just see where it's a bit of a unrealistic expectation, huh?
I can see what you're saying. You can say, I'm looking at somebody that has certain kind of traits, and I've noticed that this particular
A certain
type of
race of women
holds this kind of trait.
No, say
Right.
don't play with words. Say a particular race of women is what you're saying.
That
So I'm not gonna get caught
be
up.
the case.
I don't want to
It could be a particular race. We've talked about it before. It could be a particular skin
color. That's
color.
possible. That's definitely possible.
Yeah, it could be.
Ain't no wordplay with that.
Yeah, some people have a thing where,
from your experience, hold a trait that you like and or desire.
Yeah, I mean,
and that goes both ways. Look, let's use Gary Owen for an example. Well, let's use him for example. He likes a specific trait that only black women hold.
What is that?
The power,
he said that before. I think it was he went into detail.
He probably likes to be dominated.
Yeah,
he likes that power, that control, that headstrong. He likes that as a man who knows
darker skin tones. He said that.
I don't want a woman that's going to just take what I say. I need a woman with some passion, with some things going on. So, like he said, that goes both sides. Doesn't mean that he can't understand, even not that they're going through much, but doesn't mean he can't understand, some of the things that Caucasians deal with, or some of the things, or he can't really understand what his race is. It just means that he likes what he likes. However, he's still, who he is. That's all I'm saying. So I think it's very, and as far as my take on the whole situation, I think that
yes, I think he's pro-black without being black too.
Right, because you see it, and most, to be honest with you, if any white person or most white people that deal with black people, you're gonna become pro-black. It's hard not to. You can't hang around a lot of black people and not end up pro-black, because if you're human, you understand the inhumanity in the things that black people go through. So I think it's very, very difficult. But as far as being pro-black and dating outside your race, I think that yes, you can be pro-black and date outside your race, because even though it may seem like a contradiction, again, nothing stops you from being black. not the people around you, not nothing. And people said that about Michael Jackson, and people will tell you when you get stopped by the cops, you'll find out you black. Nothing stops you from being black at the end of the day. So I can like what I like. You know, I can, you know, date who I want to date, but I can still look, and that's why people condemn what is his name? Lil Wayne.
Oh man,
the struggle
hey, I got a
kid.
picture I'm gonna send
But
y'all.
that's
Oh
why
my
people
God.
condemn him, because it's like he was saying that he didn't understand what black people were going through at the time because a white cop saved his life, you know, and he couldn't relate.
He don't have that experience. That's
He
the
don't
same
have that
thing.
experience.
You know what?
Yeah.
People weren't buying that because of where he came from and not having that experience. People were not buying that. You came from whatever board that is in New Orleans.
Oh, Holly Grove.
But you know what? I mean, he been, but you got to think about the man's been rich in that
Longer than he
limelight since
been.
like 12, 13. So
Yeah, I don't even think he was that long. I think he was 9 or 10. when
yeah, I
he
mean, so
Listen,
between 9 years old,
certain
how much
things
interaction with cops do most 9-year-olds have? Not
it
much.
ain't even got to be the interactions. It's the neighborhood that you grew up in, the surroundings that you grew up in, folks in your family that ain't made it to where you made it, that's still there. So that's no, I'm not buying that from him. That's probably why a lot of other people weren't buying that shit from him either. So no,
I think it was full of shit. But you know, on the flip
probably was
side,
high
I do
he was
believe
probably
that
high as hell.
his experience, and I can
So-
see why he doesn't have the experience of the average black person, and he just won't.
Okay.
Yeah, I ain't buying it. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm not buying it.
he doesn't. He doesn't. Rich black people don't have the same problems as poor black people. And that's all across the board. That's just a fact. And it depends on when you became wealthy, and you may not experience a lot of the stuff that we go through. If you ended up, let's say your mom won the lottery when you was 6,
Yeah.
you might not understand the shit we going through, because from 6 years
You
old
don't
to
have to.
33,
You don't have to be in the hood not to be far removed from humanity and what people are going through.
But if you're rich, you don't go through those things, because a lot of times.
What? I mean, I'm not being accosted by the police. My husband, my child isn't being accosted by the police. So my brothers haven't. So to say that because I haven't directly had any family members or lived in the hood within the last 15, 20 years, so I'm supposed to be so far removed that I don't understand what people go through outside of where I live at.
Do you think Kanye West children gonna know anything about what you're talking about? I don't think Kanye West children or the Kardashian children gonna know anything about that.
Kanye West children wouldn't know. Hell, they weren't born into that. Why would they know?
That's what we saying.
No, Wayne was. Wayne, when he started out, that's where he was. He was in the midst of it. He already knew what was going on. So it's not like he hadn't been in that environment. And he still have people that's in that environment, and I'm sure that he still deal with.
And you can still expose yourself to your children to other things as well. Kids have never lived in the hood either, but he actually also talks to them and he helps them to know about social things, what's going on in the world. He took them to the hood. He took them to give back. So it's up to you as a parent. It's also up to you as a parent to educate your kids on being well versed on social things outside of what just goes on in your household. It's called
being human. Did you ever watch that show All American?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. You see how Tay Diggs' kids didn't know shit about that. I think that's a perfect example.
But that's also because he chose to make sure that he kept them removed from anything that resembled where he grew up in.
Right.
And they were basically whitewashed and raised in a way because he did not want them to know anything about how he grew up. He distanced himself from anything that resembled the hood, including his father. So that's a lot different.
Okay.
I mean, but it happens though.
So now
that happens in real life though.
Since we're talking about
it didn't happen to Wayne though.
Since we are talking about wealth and kids and how lives change in the future, let's segue over into the next topic, which is basically financial literacy, specifically in the Black community, and the importance of it. The first thing I think we want to talk about is, do we first and foremost, do we place too much emphasis on living for tomorrow, and we forget how to live for the moment, we'll start there, and then we'll move into the importance of financial literacy. So I'll start with Sylvia this time, and I want to talk about the, financial literacy. I mean, not financial literacy. The importance of living for the moment as opposed to living for the future. Do we do a little bit too much of living for the future?
I think that maybe some people do, because they probably come from poverty and don't want to ever go back to poverty. So they do whatever they have to do so they won't have to go back to poverty, which means that, I'm not going to do frivolous spending. I'm not going to spend unnecessarily as they deem it is. But I think that you need to have a balance, because you work hard, to earn your money or whatever, to live like you live, and you don't really enjoy it. What's the point? By the time you get to the where you want to sit down and retire, you're not gonna really, you tired. Hell, you don't want to go out. Now you just gonna sit there and in your home and waste away. I think it needs to be a healthy balance. They say, well, you work hard, you play hard. Work a little bit, play a little bit. You know what I mean? Work. You could work, put stuff aside, for your future, but you also need to enjoy the fruits of your labor now. Because what is the point of working for tomorrow and tomorrow not even promised?
Got it.
You
Okay.
you can go to sleep tonight and not even wake up the next day, and then what? You've
These
not
are
even really
facts.
lived.
These are facts. Alicia?
I think that personally in our community, we have done too much of living for today and not enough of planning and living for the future and tomorrow, which for me is the biggest reason for the discussion for the need of literacy, financial literacy in the Black community. I think that we have been for so long oppressed that we at one point became more focused on looking rich in this moment instead of planning to be rich or wealthy in our future. So I see it in a different aspect, a different viewpoint. Yes, you definitely have to have balance, but I think that for so long in our community, there has not been a correct amount.
No, go ahead.
Correct amount.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep talking. It's okay.
Nigga need a little lotion.
No, I told y'all I've been oiling up this year. This year I'm not ashy. I'm not rusty. Not this year.
No, go ahead. It's cool. Keep talking. Good.
So when I think about living for today and not and maybe not being so focused, is when I heard Chris's question, I thought about social media for me is what came to my mind. Is that sometimes we're not enjoying the actual moment. We're so focused on trying to film it, take a picture of it, post it, get likes of it, that you've actually missed the ability to connect with the people that you're with. You've missed
Facts.
enjoying the moment. But you got pictures and videos of it, but you actually have not actually enjoyed and taken part into any of that activity. So me, when I think about enjoying and living for the moment, for me, it's important to actually be in the moment. And maybe we should stop trying to capture everything. And it's not always for social media. Actually just enjoy your surroundings, enjoy the people that you're with, put your phone down and actually enjoy the moment for what it is. Because you might not get it again.
Okay,
Right.
Chris.
Yeah, so this is where it came from for me, and I can agree that ultimately it really needs a balance. I think I was driving around in the car one day, and I was just thinking about myself. So just taking even anybody else out of the question, I think for myself, a lot of times that I live more so for tomorrow than I do today, which means you're either saving for today. I mean, you're either saving for tomorrow, you're putting up for tomorrow, you're planning what you want to do tomorrow. You don't want to do anything in excess today because you want that above and beyond tomorrow that you honestly just might not ever make it to one day. So for me, I think that I want to start beginning to condition myself to live more into today.
That's what the beach video photo came from.
Hey man, but you know what? Even then in the moment, that's in it is funny you even bring that up because that would even lead to Alicia's topic or what she was saying. you're capturing it. Are you even living in the moment at the time?
Well, I mean, you can capture a little bit of it, but if you try to capture the whole entire time, then that's a problem.
No, definitely not. So, and for me, I really don't capture and do a lot of social media anyway. But the reality of it is, just learning to live more so in the moment.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I can. Go ahead.
No, having another conversation with one of my partners, he was just telling me, he was like, he had a goal. He was telling me, man, one of my goals was I want to make it to having $100,000 in the bank. He said, I want to put $100,000 in the bank. And he said that he went to a training and he was like, okay, after you do that, then what? You're just going to look at it every day? Like, what kind of goal is that? So I guess it's just trying to get a goal other than or living for something other than just monetary value.
That's a good point. I think it's a little bit combination of what everybody said. For me, I think that we should live. I think we should flip it, even though that sounds awkward. I think we need to save a little bit less for tomorrow and live a lot more for today. But it needs to be done the right way. And when I say the right way, I'm not saying like spend all your money on, J's and all of that stuff. What I'm saying is basically, if you look at all of the things that are around you, especially at my age, you see it. So I started living a lot more, especially recently. But people are just like, they dying. And whatever money that they got in the bank, like he said, with $100,000, what does that do for you? Then you have to look at things like the life expectancy of who you are. If you're looking at the life expectancy, it's not to say that you won't meet past that. It's just to say you have to kind of weigh it and say, you know what? Am I going to take that chance and just not live, thinking that what if? Yeah. And then you look back at your insurance payments and say, man, I've been paying insurance for 30 years. These people super paid. And I'm super healthy. So I look at it like I want to live a lot more, save, but live a lot more. I worry about more of the future when I get there. Now, if you're not doing something that's going to change your future dramatically, to me, you really need to understand the value of living in the moment, because it's people out here dying at 30, it's people out here dying at 40, it's people out here dying at 53. I'm mid 40s. So you have to think mid 40s, people dying at 50. Me sitting here saying, I don't want to spend no money today. I'm going to make sure I boom. And that's just my thought on it. It's not to say that people need to have a YOLO mentality. It's just saying that they do need to really reevaluate.
That truly you only do live.
Yeah, I mean, because like you said, you say, like
you do, but I guess for me, I look at it maybe differently, because now I'm on the financial end of it, where I am finding myself like coaching people in regards to finances and credit and the importance of it. And you see so much of people living for the moment
and
not
shit to
being
show.
smart.
40, 50 years old and ain't got shit to show for it.
Because some of them, it's amazing, because it's 82% of Americans live check to check. And I found that the ones who are getting and have the most income coming in have the worst debt to income ratio. The more money that they seem to make, and instead of planning and actually using it correctly, they have so much fucking debt that at the end of the month, there is no money left for shit. So I understand what you're saying about living more for the moment and in the day. But I've seen the results of not making plans for the future. And it's like I said, it's amazing. And it's not just people that are broke. It's people who are wealthy, should be.
Well, that's different. Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, even in still.
Let me ask you this.
I think that falls in everybody's category.
Like you look at cars. Oh, I got 10 cars. I have these homes. And you don't got shit. You have no money,
right? I mean, if you don't have, but if what means the world?
I'm just saying about balance, though, in making sure, especially those of us who have kids,
Zoom about to end.
We have
Like,
to not only
comment,
just
and
go ahead
subscribe.
and enjoy it right now for us, but also make sure that we're playing in the future for our kids, for the future generation.
I agree.
Fact.
All right.
Oh,
So
bye, y'all.
yeah, the cutoff about to happen. Thank you for watching. We'll have another great episode in 1 week. Please stay tuned. Turn your notifications on so you can see when it pops up. All right. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace
Zoom,
out.
zoom.
Stiletto out. Cut this motherfucker off. Shit, that's
Every time I pull up at the let out, it's a spectacle.